Joining us tonight, columnist, author, Asia expert, Gordon Chang. Gordon, good to have you here. I love the Chinese state media talking about China's right to prosper. The United States must respect China's right to prosper. What you really hear them saying is China expects us to respect their right to steal hundreds of billions of dollars from us every single year.
Oh, absolutely. And they also demand that we accept their WTO, World Trade Organization violations. All of those bilateral deals that they made with the U.S., they are allowed to violate those, and we're not supposed to say anything. This is a coordinated campaign, Lou. We saw it in the Global Times, which is Communist Party media. We saw it in foreign ministry statements. They're saying exactly the same thing. You can't talk about structural issues, they say. Well, if you can't talk about structural issues, there's no point in talking to the Chinese in the first place.
There is a fundamental, to me, illusion here that is abroad in the U.S. media, in all forms, business news outlets, the general press, the political press. If there is no metric by which you can judge whether or not China is complying with an agreement, you don't have an agreement. What is the deficit reduction? What is the impact? How are we going to defend our intellectual property and our technology against Chinese theft? We can't simply take their assurance that they won't steal from us, because that's preposterous. They're right now carrying out cyber attacks against the United States government, against corporate America, and having their way with the United States as if these talks weren't taking place and as if they were in no way going to be in any way an aggrieved party as a result of the actions of the Chinese. We are aggrieved. We're under assault, for God's sake.
No, we certainly are. You know, we're having these discussions with the Chinese, and no one is looking back at that September 2015 agreement where you had Xi Jinping, the Chinese ruler, standing next to President Obama in the Rose Garden, and the Chinese say, we are not going to cyber attack American corporates for commercial purposes. Well, they've continued to do that. And we saw from that CrowdStrike report that their attacks are gaining all the time, especially in 2018. So the question is, how can you deal with this? The only enforcement mechanism is that you make it so difficult for the Chinese to import into the U.S. You raise the tariffs, you have import bans, you do all of that, and that's the only thing you can do.
If the president, for whatever his reasons, backs off on those March 1st tariffs going up, it will be, I would think, the end of whatever leverage the president has in these talks. The Chinese are acting as if there's no one seated at those tables. Mnuchin is sitting there. Larry Kudlow is sitting there. You know, the Chinese may be half right. Those are two of the most accommodating, appeasing individuals that could be at a table with the Chinese right now. It is, to me, it's inexplicable.
Yeah. You know, the president should not say, I'm going to maybe sort of let the tariffs slide, because that's the reason why the Chinese are there in the first place. It's because of the tariffs. They're really concerned about them going up from 10 to 25%. As a matter of fact, Lou, I would actually say it's got to be more than 25% to get the Chinese to even sort of talk to us in good faith, which is really, really difficult.
Clearly, if the president does not maintain those tariffs, in any way talks about a snapback, which, you know,
they never snap back.
That's a terrific position for the Chinese to take, which is another way of saying remove the tariffs. There will be nothing to snap back if the administration is successful in these negotiations. And if they're not successful, woe is America, because this president is the only person, the only world leader to have the guts to say to the Chinese, this will not stand. And there will be mutual, balanced, reciprocal trade, and your mercantilist, imperialistic nonsense ends now, Xi Jinping. It's that simple, because otherwise the West is doomed. And watch Europe as it falls in line. I mean, listen to what we're doing. We're listening to Angela Merkel, these idiots talking about in Washington collusion with the Russians. Angela Merkel is insisting on keeping her gas contracts with the Russians. She's embracing Vladimir Putin, even as he threatens to extinguish her country. I mean, it's madness what is going on in the world, and we have one man standing up, and that is Donald Trump, and he is the forces of the establishment are arrayed against him, whether it is the business press, whether it is the political press, whether it is the establishment, corporate America, the business. I mean, the list goes on. Every dollar that's being spent to turn back this president, because he's anti-establishment and will not accept the orthodoxy that means to destroy the American destiny.
You know, we have seen so many trade negotiations between previous presidents and the Chinese, and they have all failed. And the Chinese have violated every single agreement. So this is really important for us. And you're absolutely right. This is where we either stand or we fail. And it's the only thing that's going to get us there is President Trump.
It is. That's straightforward. Thanks so much. Good to see you.
Thanks, Lou.